All right, guys, welcome to another video. We're doing Jurassic Park, 1993, directed by Steven Spielberg, written by David Cope, and of course, Michael Crichton as the writer for the original novel. Let's get right into this one, dude. The team is about to see the dinosaurs for the first time, and Grant was already established as sort of like this dino expert, right? We saw that when he sort of like bodied this little kid right before, right? He told him all these facts about raptors, and he said, dude, you need to have a little respect for these animals. He's speechless, dude. He doesn't know what to do. This is a guy that's dedicated his whole life to studying these animals. Ellie as well, she's talking about the plants. She's talking about these plants shouldn't be here. They were extinct. One comment I have about this scene is that right before we see the dinosaur, if you watch this scene again, there's zero sound that the dinosaur is even around, right? Like there's no stomping away. Yeah, I mean, I wish there was a little bit of a buildup. This is just nitpicky stuff. They quickly get out of the car, dude. They are in disbelief. They're walking up to this dinosaur. It's so cool, man. Like, for me, growing up loving dinosaurs, imagine a moment like this, dude. Imagine a moment like this. One thing I'll say also about this scene, throughout this movie, by the way, if you watch it now, 30 plus years later, it still holds up, bro. Like, it still holds up very well. This scene is the only one where I'm like, and it's a daytime scene. Like, there's, the sunlight and the humans versus the CGI of the dinosaur. It's sort of like, it's fine, but it's not quite there. Ian Malcolm in this movie, by the way, is the reason why this movie is not just like a straight up horror film. Because imagine if there were no comedy relief moments, specifically with Malcolm. I mean, this movie would be insane, would be so scary. There's actually a lot of reviews from the original movie back then when people would go watch it, of people saying how scary it was to them. They thought it was a horror movie. There's a scene when Alan is talking. He's so nervous. He's still spitting out sort of like these dino facts, but his hand is trembling as he's talking. This is just great acting, dude. What he studied his whole life is fossils as dead animals. One come to life for the first time. His heart must be pumping out of his chest, dude. I heard that the filmmakers tried to make these dinosaurs look a little bit more like puppies so that they're a little bit more relatable, especially the herbivores, maybe trying to make them a little bit more cute or so that kids will like them. This is a straight puppy moment right here. Like, I doubt this dinosaurs will be able to do this. Gennaro says we're gonna make a fortune with this place, which is kind of crazy, dude, because minutes before, this man was sold on the fact that if he wasn't happy, if he wasn't convinced, if he did not like this place, he was gonna shut Hammond down. And he specifically told him, Hammond, I'm gonna shut you down, dude, if after this weekend I'm not convinced about this place. And this man was just convinced about this place with one dinosaur within minutes after, dude. It's crazy. It's like looking at all of these characters now come back to their childlike self, and this is essentially what happened to even us as an audience, dude. When we saw this for the first time, I remember being 7 years old and watching Jurassic Park for the first time, dude. So this is important, is because there's two things that I want you to note here. First, they're realizing that there's not just one dinosaur on this island, which one dinosaur alone would have been enough, dude, to blow their minds. Now they're realizing there's more than one. And by the way, now they're realizing there's a T-Rex, which is probably every scientist's dream, dude, is to see a T-Rex for the first time. Welcome to Jurassic Park, he says. Alan finally sort of like is able to take in what this place really is, dude. You see the scenery, you see the dinosaurs walking around in what it looks like to be his natural habitat. And dude, I want you to see this specific close-up here that Steven Spielberg sort of like pushes into, which is the happy tears that Alan and Ellie have, dude, as they see this place. I mean, these are people that dedicated their whole life as scientists to study these animals that were all dead. And now they're seeing them alive for the first time. It's beautiful. And he asks John Hammond, how did you do this, dude? And then John Hammond says, I will show you. All right, so I want you to notice something about these characters and this specific part. There's this buildup that's been happening of Hammond showing all of them the wonder of Jurassic World, shows them the Brachiosaur and the Visitor Center and Mr. DNA and that whole video slide or presentation that was awesome. So they're dude, they're super on board. At this point, every single one of them is like, dude, this place is insane. I'm in. Sold. And Hammond thinks this is a grand slam, dude. This is crazy, dude. Hammond says that he's present for every birth so that every creature can imprint on him and trust him. Really? I mean, this man is delusional, dude. Delusional. Hammond still has them at this point. And look at them. They're all wrapped around this little baby dinosaur, which of course now is like sort of like the cherry on top of his grand presentation about this place. But notice my man on the left here. Ian Malcolm's like, I don't know, dude. Henry Wu is saying they can't breed in the wild. They can only breed here. Population control is one of our security procedures at Jurassic World. He says there's no unauthorized breeding in Jurassic Park. Henry says because they're all female. We've engineered them that way. But notice though, he still has them. John still has them. Ellie is beside herself, dude. She doesn't know what to do, dude. This dinosaur is so cute. So make a note of this. Ian then takes a little lap, dude. He's like, dude, let me think about this for a second, dude. Let me think about what this man just said. And it's sort of like our first clue that there's something wrong with Jurassic Park. He says, how do you know? Do you pull all the dinosaur skirts? And so he's going even deeper, dude. Henry says there's this chromosome that they need to become male, and we simply deny them that. That makes Ellie pause and be like, deny them that? I'm sorry. What'd you say? And this is what I want you to see right here. So now Ian has now separated from the group, dude, which is symbolic because remember, they were all huddled. They were all like, we're with you, John. You see no one next to him, okay? He's contradicting this new bandwagon about Jurassic Park, and he's explaining how nature is not to be messed with, dude. Nature is a powerful thing, and it's audacious for us to think that we can control it. Henry is not backing down though. Henry's like, you're saying that a bunch of females will just reproduce? He says life finds a way, dude. That's the truth. And now it's about to hit Alan. It's a velociraptor, dude. These people are playing with fire here. So awesome from Steven Spielberg because he's so good at showing us scale and the size of these animals. And notice that the Triceratops is now the second full-size dinosaur that we see in the movie. I just gotta know right here, Tim is just this kid is so cute, man. But dude, Alan and Ellie are selling this moment so well, dude. And the animatronics are so good on this movie. Stan Winston, dude, anybody that worked on this movie, can you please talk to me one day? I want to know. Like, I just want to know this stuff. See, Ellie, and dude, she's having such an emotional moment because, again, she's dedicated her whole life to study these animals. Alan literally now telling us that this was his favorite dinosaur when he was a kid. There's so many details on this animatronic, the mouth and in the nose. You'll notice a little bit right here. There's even like mucus on its nose, dude. There's this really cute moment where it's showing us Lex contrasting with Alan as now Alan is, forget about the science, dude. Alan is just being a little kid again, dude. Just emotionally so into this dinosaur, which was his favorite dinosaur as a kid. Muldoon is telling Hammond that the storm hasn't changed course and is coming their way. Hammond is now frustrated because he originally had a grand slam, dude, and things are just not going his way, dude. Everything started so right for him, and now it's slowly crumbling, dude. I've said it before, Ian Malcolm is the reason why this movie is not a straight horror, dude. It's also a weird moment because we see the first instance where Ian is into Ellie. Okay, so this scene, dude. The power is out. The team is stranded in front of the T-Rex paddock. And Lex and Tim are so good in this scene, by the way. Tim hears a rumble, and he asks Lex if she's noticed it too. Spielberg here is a genius for showing us the impact tremor, not just hearing it. I believe they did this with the guitar string, the ripple of the water on the cup. Gennaro starts waking up, dude. He says, maybe that's the power trying to come back on. Kid's not convinced. Now, Tim notices the goat, which originally was laid out for the T-Rex to eat, is gone. Notice the chain here still swinging, which means the goat has just been snatched by the T-Rex. That's great direction by Steven Spielberg, by the way. Lex has taken a deep breath and asked the question, where's the goat? Dude, Tim sees the T-Rex for the first. Tim is actually the first one to see the T-Rex for the first time. One thing to note here is that it might look like the T-Rex is actually looking at them, but she's looking at the goat's leg, most likely, that just landed on the car. Like she's been eating, and she notices that the leg is out there. So that's actually most likely the reason why the T-Rex escaped in the first place. She's trying to eat, bro. She needs to go get that leg. Lex and Tim are 14 and 11 years old, I think, and they're still looking at adults for security and safety. This man just left, and Gennaro's freaked the F out, doesn't believe any of the others will have answers, so he just leaves. He goes into this little shack. By the way, I wish I was as committed as Malcolm is to making everything a joke. Like, I wish I was like him, actually. Now, this is a build-up to the T-Rex coming, but it's also showing that the safety of the park is slowly crumbling here. Okay, so Gennaro, the one adult that's supposed to help them, left them. They see the fence is falling apart. There's one singular hope that they can still rely on is Dr. Alan Grant. This scene, the VFX of this scene hold up so well. Even today, dude. 30 plus years later, oh my God, dude. Again, Spielberg doing such a great job at showing us the scale magnitude of these animals, dude. Alan says their vision is based on movement. Not fact checking on this video, by the way. That's just what he's saying. I think there's like 6 or 7 animals that were combined to make the T-Rex sound. Something like that. Like an elephant and a lion. If anybody knows what those animals are, let me know in the comments. Okay, so the way they did this, if I had to guess, is that, obviously the dinosaur is a CGI, but I don't think the car is, dude. If it is, then it's so well made, man. Like you can feel the weight of the car as it's bouncing up and down. Alan is just like, dude, these cars are not gonna keep us safe, man. The T-Rex here is sort of like acting like a puppy, which is so funny. See, the flare gag has been used time and time again in these Jurassic movies. This was such an iconic moment. Maybe they're doing it for nostalgia. Dude, you don't have to do it for every movie. Little detail, I love how the car wobbles as the T-Rex is chasing him. Okay, so one thing to note here is about to run and jump through the door. You'll see it. I'll try to catch it. See, that's Ian right there. See, that's his hands and his face. And what happens is, let me see now. Okay, now that's his legs. So the dinosaur doesn't get him. What actually gets him in this scenario is he gets cut from all the debris and everything that's sort of like breaking around him. But then the T-Rex sort of like, you see his legs here still. The dinosaur sort of like tries to munch on him, but he doesn't get him. He barely gets him, actually. Instead, launches him. You see, flying out, dude. He launches him, and that's when you see that he got hurt, not by the dinosaur biting him, but it's because of everything that fell on top of him and all the cuts that he got from that. Okay, so Alan's about to get Lex here, and notice that Lex is going to scream as soon as he gets her out. There's 2 reasons why she most likely screams, and they're not really gonna show it, but there's 2 reasons why Lex screams in this moment. One reason could be that she sees the T-Rex coming back, or 2, it could be the fact that she's seen Gennaro's remains, or what remains after the T-Rex is finishing eating Gennaro. Both of them equally terrifying, dude. Notice again how Steven Spielberg doesn't show us the entire body of the T-Rex. He doesn't need to, by the way. This is more terrifying for me than seeing the whole T-Rex body. We've probably seen the whole T-Rex body at this point, maybe twice, I think. Notice this shot here is sort of like a POV of Tim. We're seeing what he's seeing, which is, dude, just giant teeth in front of him. That is so terrifying, bro. Dude, misses. I sort of like did a pause. This car misses them by like an inch, bro. All right, so real quick, in this scene, the team has now brought power back to Jurassic Park. There's been lots of losses from the human side. We're now down to Alan, Ellie, Lex, Tim, Hammond, and Malcolm are sort of like waiting for them. They're supposed to meet up. 2 raptors are now after them, and they've escaped through the vents. Lex holding on here when this breaks is already a miracle. How this was shot, I know for a fact that this wasn't Lex. I've seen a video actually where they show the stunt double that was that was casted for this specific scene. And there's this part where they replaced Lex's the stunt performer's face for Lex. Right? I got it, dude. This woman here, iconic by the way, she's got to be in like her 20s or 30s, dude. She's not 12 or 14 years old. But there is that moment again where Lex looks up, boom, replaced by visual effects, which is really cool. Now, what's interesting here is we're very occupied in trying to make sure that we see Lex coming out of that alive. We don't see the second scare, which is the Velociraptor chomping after her. Great direction by Steven Spielberg there. By the way, the raptor can probably jump high enough to get to them. And that's most likely the reason why Alan keeps looking behind him to make sure that the raptor's not chasing them right now. They go to the visitor center. One of the two raptors who's already there, sort of like waiting for them, most likely for all the freaking noise they're making. He said, "You've been evading me this entire time. You evaded me in the compound. You evaded me in the kitchen. You evaded me on the control room. And now the vents. I'm pissed, dude. I'm trying to eat." There's a lot of music here. I'm not going to be able to play the sound because of rights. The Velociraptor jumps, tries to get them. Everybody's like trying to hold on to dear life. Sort of like a big, gigantic scramble. Even the Velociraptor's like up there where the skeletons are. Boom. You see? Okay. Lex, on this shot, lets go of the skeletons. You see her hand here. The shot cuts to her still holding on. It's a little edit thing that I noticed, baby. There's just a lot going on, which is fun because it's chaos that is happening and action that is happening outside of just dinosaurs, which I appreciate that. Like, I don't think we see a lot of that on other Jurassic movies. This is an animatronic, and dude, it looks so good. Looks so good. Are animatronics more expensive than VFX? Like, I'm a little bit confused on that. I don't. If anybody has the answers, let me know. Of course, these are VFX, and they have to be. Rexy, I think, is the name of that T-Rex. Yes, dude. Probably at this point, just pissed and emotionally attacking this dinosaur. Everybody gets the F out of there. Interesting fact: this is the same Jeep that Muldoon and Ellie used to rescue Ian Malcolm. You probably noticed that. It's like a minor little detail. Alan says that he's not going to endorse the park after careful consideration. And we finally see Hammond admitting and saying, says it's over. Now, there could be two reasons for that. One is he's really turning around and realizing that, you know, these guys were right and he was wrong. He could also just be realizing that he's about to get, you know, sued 100 times over. By the way, I've seen videos of scientists talking about how insane the T-Rex bite is. This chomp right here. That chomp is what most likely killed the raptor, not the launching against the skeleton. As a little kid, I thought that's what might have killed the raptor, was when the T-Rex launches him and he slams against that skeleton. No, it's probably that chomp, dude, because the T-Rex chomps were insanely. Little detail though, who decided that we needed the T-Rex's tongue to be out like that? I don't know why that's a thing for me, but it is.